Hi, I'm Larry Powell. Welcome to Planet in Peril, an occasional production of Nipua Access Community Television. The World Health Organization, a branch of the United Nations and leading authority on global medical conditions, has just issued a new and disturbing report on children's health. It estimates air pollution, secondhand smoke, unsafe water, lack of sanitation, and poor hygiene claim the lives of 1,700,000 children under 5 each year. The most common causes of those deaths, diarrhea, malaria, and pneumonia, are preventable. How? By giving those children access to safe drinking water and clean cooking fuels. Old electronic waste, such as cell phones, if not properly recycled, expose children to toxins which can lead to reduced intelligence, lung damage, and cancer. Such waste is expected to reach a new high of 50 million tons by next year, and global warming has led to the production of more plant pollen, resulting in increasing incidence of childhood asthma. Once again, there have been big changes on Earth since I last reported to you on this program. There was less sea ice at both poles in January 2017 than there has ever been in any previous January since satellites began recording those levels back in 1979. These satellite graphics reveal in white how much winter ice there has been and could be in the Arctic in the future. This one shows the extent as it was in 1979. 33 years later, in 2012, it had reduced to this much. 28 years from now, in 2045, it's expected the extent of winter sea ice in our Arctic region will have shrunk to about the amount shown here. Some scientists even fear in the not-too-distant future the Arctic will be completely ice-free in the summer. While they're concerning, these changes should come as no surprise. This January just passed was the third warmest since the human record began way back in 1880. Again, perhaps no surprise, since it followed 3 of the consecutive warmest years, 2014, 2015, and last year, 2016, the warmest of all. Records like this are gathered and kept by organizations such as NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. It's a branch of the U.S. government and includes the U.S. Weather Service. It has massive reach, capable of monitoring conditions from the surface of the sun to the depths of the oceans. It records changes in climate, massive storms and droughts, as well as the state of the fisheries. Its records on global temperatures have been independently verified by NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. So what does all this mean? What are the impacts of these rising temperatures on the people and other living creatures in the north? For a further insight into this, let's watch this video produced last year by NOAA.
The Arctic shows continuing changes during 2016. Annual average surface air temperature over land was 6.3 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than at the start of the 20th century, warming at twice the rate of the global temperatures. Part of the extreme was due to especially warm air coming from the south during the winter of 2016. Arctic minimum sea ice extent at the end of summer was tied with 2007 for the second lowest amount during the satellite record, starting in 1979, at 33% below the long-term average. The Arctic ice pack remains young and thin and is more vulnerable to summer melting than the thicker, stronger ice pack of the 1980s. With less ice cover, there's more solar heating throughout much of the Arctic Ocean and adjacent seas. As more light penetrates into the ocean photosynthesis increases, resulting in changes at the base of the ocean food chain. The Arctic Ocean is especially prone to ocean acidification due to water temperatures that are colder than those farther south. The short Arctic food chain leaves the marine ecosystem vulnerable to the potential impacts of ocean acidification. Spring snow cover extents continued to decline and set a record low this year in the North American Arctic, driven by warming air temperatures and thinner snow cover during winter. On the Greenland ice sheet, spring air temperatures were warm, setting several records. The melt season started early. The overall trend towards increasing melting continues, as the Greenland ice sheet has lost mass continuously since 2002. Thawing permafrost can release stored organic carbon into the atmosphere as greenhouse gases, and at the same time, increased plant growth stores carbon from the atmosphere. Overall, tundra is presently releasing net carbon into the atmosphere. Small mammals, such as shrews, occupy most Arctic land habitats. They serve as indicators for present and historical environmental variability. Newly acquired parasites of some Arctic shrews show poleward shifts of subarctic species and increases in Arctic biodiversity. In addition to climate change adaptation, rapid, unprecedented rates of change mean that the Arctic today is home to and a cause for a global suite of trillion-dollar impacts, ranging from global trade, increased or impeded access to land and ocean resources, changing ecosystems and fisheries, upheaval in subsistence resources, damage to infrastructure due to fragile coastlines, permafrost melt, and sea level rise, and national security concerns. In summary, new observations indicate that the entire interconnected Arctic environmental system is continuing to be influenced by long-term upward trends in global carbon dioxide and air temperatures, modulated by regional and seasonal natural variability.
Meanwhile, the other end of the Earth, the South Pole, is not immune from the melting either. 15 years ago, this massive ice shelf called Larsen B, shown in blue and brown colors, disintegrated and broke away from the Antarctic Peninsula. It covered an area of more than 3,000 square kilometers. That incident is described in this video by the American Geophysical Union.
The 2002 collapse of the Larsen B ice shelf. This series of images, taken between January 31st and April 13, 2002, captured the collapse of the Larsen B ice shelf. Scientists monitoring daily satellite images of the Antarctic Peninsula watched almost the entire ice shelf splinter and collapse. They had never witnessed such a large area, 1,250 square miles, disintegrate so rapidly.
But now, something even more massive is in the works. Last November, NASA scientists photographed this rift, shown here as a thin purple line in the Larsen C shelf on the Antarctic Peninsula. This crack is actually more than 100 kilometers long, more than 90 meters wide, and more than half a kilometer deep. The crack is advancing quickly and within months or possibly weeks could reach the ocean. Then, this ice shelf is expected to break off from the continent, forming an iceberg some 5,000 square kilometers in size. That would make it almost as large as Manitoba's Lake Winnipegosis. For a closer look, let's watch this video from the British Antarctic Survey. If anyone needs more convincing as to the magnitude of these events, consider this. The amount of sea ice ringing Antarctica has shrunk by 159,000 square kilometers since 1997. If you've ever visited Riding Mountain National Park here in Manitoba, you'll know it's a pretty big place. Well, that amount of ice missing from the Antarctic region is equivalent to 57 Riding Mountain parks. 57. This is clearly why scientists are sounding the alarm. These massive ice sheets breaking off into the ocean, along with disappearing ice in the Arctic and Greenland, are simply more evidence of a warming planet, and they could, according to the prestigious journal Nature, contribute to a rise in sea levels of more than 15 meters by 2500, if greenhouse gas emissions continue to grow. Now for a change of pace. NASA astronaut Jeff Williams has captured the majesty of our planet with his cameras aboard the International Space Station. Let's share those spectacular images with you now. This is called Jeff's Earth.
I don't remember exactly where we were the first time I viewed the Earth, but I remember getting out of the spacesuits in the middeck of the space shuttle and then floating back up and then having a chance to actually get my full view out the window, to get close to the window and to view the Earth. And what struck me was just the overall beauty of the planet, and specifically with the blues of the oceans and the whites of the cloud formation. I put a high priority on photography and video out the window of the Earth. You see things at a different scale, and I think you can grow in your appreciation for what the Earth has to offer to support our livelihood, to support civilizations. And now we can see it in a global scale and maybe grow in our appreciation of those things that are unique to Earth. To view the Earth from space, of course, especially from a photographer's point of view, it's a target-rich environment. The ocean currents and the vastness of the oceans, and in particular in sun glint, the cloud formations and other weather patterns are a never-ending varieties. The different landforms that you have show themselves in different ways. Forested areas are much different than plains. Agriculture stands out. You can see elements of the culture and the history of the area just through the patterns of agriculture. Sand dunes became one of my favorite things to take pictures of. You also have the evidence of civilization and habitation on the Earth. Every sunset, every sunrise is unique, especially in its patterns of cloud formations that the sun sets or rises from behind. when you finish and you're back on the earth, the memories diminish quickly. So to capture the memories, to be able to bring back the experience to others, and viewing this planet, now we can see it in a global scale and maybe grow in our appreciation of those things that are unique to Earth.
A truly awesome look at our planet from a step back in space. Well, that's all for now. For more stories like this, please visit my blog, planetinperil.ca. Until next time on NAC TV, I'm Larry Powell. Have a green day.